Hello everyone, Ladislas Maurice, the Wandering Investor here in Nairobi in Kenya. So last week I bought East Africa's highest duplex penthouse. I know it's quite the statement. Today we're going to meet with the developer as well as my realtor, and I'm going to explain why I did this, the thesis, and then all of the numbers behind. Let's go. All right, so here we are. This right here is the penthouse that I just bought, $175,000 for a 3-bedroom penthouse, 29th floor. It's effectively East Africa's highest duplex penthouse for $175,000. So a bit later, we'll do all of the numbers in detail in terms of return on investment, rental income, etc., to get an idea of the net rental yields and also the potential for capital appreciation. But that conversation will be for later. So Pratik, you've been helping me invest here in Nairobi real estate. Can you tell us a little bit more about the neighborhood where we are?
Yes, so this is effectively an extension of what we call the CBD in Nairobi, and it's in the Westlands area. This is where a lot of now the corporate headquarters are moving to, from outside or outskirts of the city to here. And when we talk about corporate headquarters, we've got companies like Oracle, Xiaomi, big insurance companies, Stanbic, which is a bank, Standard Chartered, which is also a bank. So they're mostly getting headquartered in this area.
Yeah, so look, this is one of the theses for investing in Kenya. Already in just 1 minute, you can tell. One, it's very affordable. And two, it's increasingly becoming the hub for Africa, ultimately. Historically, you were looking more at Johannesburg, in some cases as well, West Africa, but that is just not the case anymore. Increasingly, companies, when they choose to set up operations in Africa, Nairobi is the #1 destination, not only due to geography, but because it's an easier place to do business, and it's also a lot more pleasant, especially to bring expatriates, and there's quite a large talent pool as well here in Nairobi, and it's easy to bring expats to Nairobi, unlike taking expats to places like Accra or Lagos, etc. And Johannesburg has gradually, over the years, South Africa has been very inward looking, and they've been losing the status as the commercial hub of Africa over time, and increasingly businesses are just relocating here. Sure, Kenya has its issues, but the trajectory is very positive, and we're talking of a city of about 6 million people that will probably double in population in the next 30 years, and that for a capital city has some of the lowest per square meter prices in the world. So when I look at it from a global perspective, Nairobi is particularly attractive. So Pratik, when we first came across this project, you mentioned a red flag.
Yes, so what I mentioned was that this is the first development by this developer in Kenya.
Why is that a red flag?
Because they don't have any prior experience to represent in the country. And most people who purchase are looking for that prior experience to exude the confidence in the development.
Right, so Miss Lee is the chairwoman of the developer here, and her daughter Betty, they work together. It's a family business. What do you have to say about that?
What I should say is that this is very normal compared to other existing Chinese developers who have been here doing their business for over the past 10 years. We are quite new, and this is our first project in Nairobi. But however, our group company in China, Beijing, the capital city in China, we have established since 1999 and for already 26 years. And we have done so many bigger projects in China, different city.
So Miss Lee, can you just tell us what are the projects that you're most proud of that you did in China, so that we can understand the kind of your background and the type of projects you've done in the past?
他说，在我们过去开发的这么多项目里面，有哪些是非常成功的代表作，可以列出1、2。
我们在开发的这个20多年里面呢，有10多个项目，开发的面积呢也是非常的大。近期呢，近2年我们开发的项目呢，有这个一个是江苏的高德花古里、高德庄园2个项目，还有呢花古奇缘项目，这个呢是我们这个旅游地产的一个代表作。 面积也比较大，规模也比较大。还有一个呢，就是位于珠海的龙福大厦，因为它是一个高层的一个商业综合体，所以也代表了我们目前的一个开发的水平吧。
So Betty, in the big scheme of things, how big a project is this for you as a group?
You know, to be honest, this is the smallest project we have done in the past. And for this one, it's only half an acre. But in the past of our project, those are all very big and over 100 acre each.
All right, so I think it just gives an idea of scale. In the West, we tend to forget how much scale there is in everything that people do in China. So this is just a test run. For them, it's a small project, but for East Africa, it's literally the highest duplex penthouses in this part of the continent. I understand that you have a strong background, but people in this market, they don't either trust it or they don't quite understand it. So what are you doing to actually mitigate this concretely in the market?
So basically, we are at a level of 5% discount, lower than the market. We are planning to have a better finishing, and let me show you this way. So everyone, let me show you, this is our biggest one bedroom, and then we're selling at average price of 77,000 US dollar. And then let me tell you, this is not the penthouse. This is just a flat one bedroom. This is our bathroom, and then this is our bedroom. And here we come to our living room and also the kitchen. This is the kitchen appliance we're using, which is Bosch from Germany, which is also including in the price. And everything for the furnishing, it is all from China. We're not buying those furnishing from the wholesaler here in Kenya. We have been working with those very big and reputable suppliers in China for the past 20 years. Everything we purchased, we understand and know it very well.
This is why I am really interested in this. This is one of the reasons. Chinese developers don't have a great reputation here in Kenya. They've been known historically for having lower than average quality. But what we're seeing is that over time, they're upping their game and they're becoming better. And I bought 4 apartments with a Chinese developer last year. And we went, last week we went for an update, and we can see like the quality is going to be a lot better than what they delivered in the past. In this particular case, we're seeing a large luxury developer from China coming, realizing that they can't justify the premium from a marketing point of view. So this is their marketing. Their first project, which is for them a small project, is their marketing. The finishings are supposed to be a lot better. I would tend to think they will be better. In any case, whatever, it comes at 5% below market price. My thinking is I'm getting a product that is lower than market price and that will have finishings that will be probably significantly better than the average. And then on top of that, it's a completely unique product. Can you tell me about the ceiling height of the penthouse?
Sure. For the penthouse, the ceiling height is 5.4 meters.
The windows will be floor to ceiling.
Yes, so it is a French window from the floor to the ceiling, and it's about 5.4 meters high.
So just imagine top, highest in East Africa, massive windows like this. Just imagine the views and the premium that I'll probably be able to command in the market for rentals or even just to flip it later on. Can you tell us about the amenities? Because this is important. Increasingly in Nairobi, it's an amenities game. What are the amenities in this project?
We do offer a very good amenity service, which we have a rooftop heated infinity pool on the 30th floor.
How long is it?
23 meters long. And we also have a rooftop garden and also rooftop restaurant. And also on the 29th floor, we offer a fully equipped gym and also kids playground. And at the reception lobby, we offer 24-hour, 7 days service at the reception.
The gym will have full views of the city.
Of course.
Look, in terms of net square meters, which is one of the metrics I like to use when I purchase real estate, though I understand that that's not necessarily how every market operates, but it's one of the indications. Can you explain, Pratik, a little bit between gross figures and net figures here? Because it's it's a little confusing.
Most developers quote the gross figure, but that includes all the walls and items like that. And some people may want to know then what the net figure is subsequently. And you could say about a 10% deduction from the gross figure to arrive at the net figure.
So in this case, we applied a deduction of about 20%, so 80% of the quoted gross figure. That 3-bedroom penthouse is 155 gross square meters. Net were at around 127. Effectively, it's an average across the whole building. It's about $1,400 per square meter net for apartments with all of these amenities in what is becoming the central business district of Africa.
So in this particular development, there are 1-bedroom to 3-bedroom penthouses. There are also additional normal units, which are 1 and 2-bedroom. The prices range from $58,000 to $175,000.
Now we're going to go to the site and we're going to do all of the numbers in detail. All right, let's go. Great, so here we are on site. So can you tell us, when do you plan on actually starting to build?
We are planning to start the building around 2 weeks later, at the beginning of December.
When is the completion date?
Our completion day is in 2028 at the end of May.
And then the payment terms people can pay over the time, right?
That's correct.
Do you have all the permits?
So far, to be honest, we already paid the government fee for all the permit. We're still waiting. So around 1 week, we're getting our approval letter for the floor plan. And then coming after will be NEMA and also NCA.
So there is some element of risk in the sense that not all the permits have been issued yet. I just went ahead. Last time when I bought an apartment, a few apartments here with another Chinese developer, they were under injunction. It got sorted out, all good. I would just negotiate. Essentially what I negotiated was, if you don't get the permits, I want my money back. This is how you de-risk investing in something that sounds a little risky. Buying into a project in Africa that doesn't have all the permits. So Pratik, there's a lot of construction around here. What about the risk of oversupply?
Yes, that is definitely a risk, and I think it's something we've discussed. But I think the risk of oversupply lies with particular types of units. What we're looking at here is a unique type of unit. So if you're going to go for the standard units that people are building, as you can see, there's a lot of construction and most developers are building those standard units.
Yeah, so the way I look at it is it's hard to go wrong with the penthouses, which is why when I saw this project, I was your first client, right?
Yes, Morris, you are my first client who purchased the penthouse, which is the 3-bedroom penthouse.
Yeah, so I immediately went, I want penthouse, I want the best. It's a unique product. Look, I travel all over the world looking at deals, looking at real estate, and I can tell you one thing, there isn't a single market with an oversupply of penthouses. It's that simple. There will never be an oversupply of penthouses. So I have no problem buying into this market, buying a penthouse at these prices. I think it's completely fair. As for the other units, I'm not comfortable sharing, and we're gonna do all of the numbers in terms of what I expect in terms of return on investment from a rental yield point of view. I'm not comfortable doing the numbers for the normal 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units. Not that I think that the numbers will be bad in the end. It's just, it's hard to know because of the market dynamics, because there's a lot of supply, but the place is booming as well. A lot of businesses are moving here. A lot of people are moving here. Nairobi is not just a business hub. It's also increasingly a lifestyle hub. I'm not going to speculate on those, but in terms of the penthouses, I'm very confident that those are very decent investments. That's why I'm putting my own money there. Pratik, let's do all of the numbers in detail here.
Sure.
Purchase price $175,000 for the 3-bedroom penthouse. What are roughly the closing costs?
Okay, so there is stamp duty at 4%. There is the legal fees of the developer, which is paid by the purchaser, that's at 1%. And then legal fees of the purchase is 1.5%.
Okay, and then a few incidentals, etc.
Yes, there'll be a few incidental costs thereafter.
Okay, so for this particular unit, I'm doing the numbers for furnished because I think it's going to be a penthouse is going to be a furnished market. What do you recommend in terms of the budget?
Around $19,000 to $20,000.
Look, it's a penthouse. I'm not going to put IKEA, right? No IKEA here. You just put like just really nice furniture, you kit it out. In my mind, the target market is African. It's a wealthy African businessman that either lives here full time or that comes on a regular basis to Nairobi. It's not necessarily going to be some expat family. It's going to be a Nigerian who comes to Nairobi for a week per month or a few months per year, or some Sudanese business person that lives here. They want to impress. They want to be right in the center of everything. They want to be close to all the nightclubs. So it's really about showing off. And the furniture will have to reflect this. That ultimately is my target market. There's a lot of money in Africa. There's a lot of money. And if you have the right product, you can tap into that. How much could I expect in terms of rental income?
So in terms of rental income monthly, $2,500.
And that would be on a long-term contract.
Yes, long term, and looking at about 90% occupancy through a year, that works out to about $27,000.
This could go on Airbnb. Airbnb will be allowed in the building.
Allowed.
Yeah, you could do Airbnb. That would be a few $100s per night. Occupancy rate, hard to say. Honestly, it's hard to predict occupancy rates for Airbnbs 3 years down the line. But for long term, I feel comfortable saying this. I could potentially make even more money on Airbnb, but I'd rather be conservative here. Let's go into costs. You do property management as well, Pratik?
Yes, and property management will be 6.5%.
Okay, what about finding tenants?
Finding tenants is 1 month's rent commission.
And on average, how long do people stay?
18 months. So you need a new tenant every 18 months.
On
That's
average.
That's an average, yeah.
What about the service charges, the monthly service charges?
So on this particular unit, it's about $110 per month.
Look, it's really cheap. Imagine $110 a month and you get a fully kitted gym on the 29th floor. You get an infinity swimming pool with views of the city on the 30th floor, heated. All the other stuff, kids' playground. In my mind, maybe it'll be more, but ultimately it's still going to be very low and it won't really matter that much. It's one of the advantages of operating in a market where labor is affordable as opposed to getting a penthouse in Manhattan.
I think in addition to that, you're looking at maintenance budget and incremental costs of about $1,000, and that leads you to an net return of 10.3%.
So 10.3% net after all the expenses. I don't want to talk about the tax situation because there's a lot of ambiguity. Locals pay 7.5% on turnover, non-resident individuals 30% on turnover. There are structures that people use to minimize this. Enforcement, generally speaking, in this market is very, very low. You guide people through this, right? You guide your investors through this, right?
Yes, there's a few uncertainties which we need to get over.
Just, get in touch with Pratik if you have any questions.
The other units are also 2-bedroom penthouses, which are duplex. That goes for about $158,000 US. In addition to that, there is 2 types of 1-bedroom duplexes. The larger size goes for $98,000 US. The other 1-bedroom duplex goes for $76,000.
Okay, so you can buy a 1-bedroom duplex penthouse for $76,000. How much rent would that be roughly if you furnish it?
$1,000 a month.
All right, net yield,
Net
using
yield,
the same methodology.
working out to 8.5%.
I bought this apartment without even doing these numbers. I didn't do these numbers. We did them for the video. The reality is the value I'm getting is so good that I didn't really care about the actual rental returns in the end because I'm quite certain that I'll get a capital appreciation relatively fast. So here the potential for capital appreciation is high, and the net rental yields, if you furnish it correctly and you don't do IKEA and you don't cheap out, is also high as well. Look, you need to be comfortable with Kenya risk, potential currency devaluations, potential political crises, potential instability. It's an emerging market with everything that comes with it, so you just need to be comfortable with this. But I feel that it's very much priced accordingly. There aren't too many penthouses that are available, so just feel free to get in touch with Pratik if you're interested. I also wrote a whole article on the real estate market here in Nairobi, the neighborhoods that are interesting, the neighborhoods you should avoid, some key learnings, etc. There is a link below. And Betty, you also offer some furniture packages as well.
For the furniture package, we can also offer to our investor and buyer. All our furniture is from China, and those are all high-end, good quality, A grade, and very well priced. we can help you to do all the furnishing.
Look, if you want to buy East Africa's highest duplex penthouses at these valuations of about $1,400 per net square meter, there's Pratik's contact information right here. Thank you very much, eh?
Okay, thank you, Pratik, thank you, Mars. Yes.
Make sure to download my free ebook, 12 Mistakes to Avoid When Investing in International Real Estate, which you can find on my website, linked below. And feel free to follow me on Instagram @TheWandering Investor. I look forward to hearing from you.